Hi, in this video we will be discussing how to make a bulk user import in the system and how to verify after that bulk import on our users within the system and how to provide them with the username and password or have for our system administration purposes the list of usernames and passwords in the system. First of all, let's check how to make the bulk user import. In order to do so, we need to go to security, bulk import users, which will lead us to a window stating the following. As you can see in the window, it has a download template button, an upload bar, and some checkboxes, and with the button validate and import. Let's dive in more and get to know what is each functionality for each of the buttons and how it is processed. First of all, let's start with the download template. This button allows us to download a user template that we can use within our system for the eSol purchasing system to import bulk of users in one go. In order to do so, if we check on the Excel sheet, the original Excel sheet includes the user's first name, last name, email address, which acts as the unique identifier, the workflow, which we discussed before in many videos. As we mentioned, the eSol purchasing system is a completely dynamic system, so it might have multiple workflows, and accordingly users will be following that workflow. The role that they have in the system is a director, principal, depending on the departments, and of course if there's department, it will be departments assigned. If it's year group, then it's going to be a school section, a year group, and a menu category. As you can see in the Excel sheet, there are multiple extra sheets that works as a guideline. For example, if you want to check on the workflows that you have, you can check it from the system, which is the current workflow, the roles. For example, if we take about the department requester, any department requester role, you will see the guideline stated that it needs a department. It doesn't require any new groups, and it can be within all sections. Same as the head of department requires to set a department for the head of department, which is what the checkbox means. It can be assigned to all year groups and all school sections. If we're gonna go in detail, for example, if it's something regarding year group requester, like the year group leader or head of year, it will be the same. It will have all departments. It doesn't concern any department, but it does concern a year group and a section, because each sections has multiple year groups, which we will go later on. Same as the departments. Each department, it can be with multiple year groups and multiple sections. The director, school administrator, or the school viewer, they are all the same. They don't relate with any department or any year group. If you go check on the department, this is currently the list of departments that we have, but we can definitely update it as much as we want, not a problem. The main thing that before we do any step regarding the role, department, workflow, or sections, or even menu categories, we need to make sure that all of this data is already on the eSol purchasing system. This acts as a guideline in here. It doesn't concern with the upload process, but it just helps us guideline if we forgot how the structure of the system works and what it means. For example, as we mentioned before, the requirements for the roles. If we go to departments, how they look and what's their codes, and school sections and how they divide. Like, for example, for each school, what's the description, what is the section, and what each section contains in what year groups. Like, for example, early years is such year groups, primary is in such, elementary and secondary and preparatory is such. Depending on each year group, which will of course take effect when we put in the year group like in here. Of course, we can go to that in more details when we start the upload process. First of all, let's update that. Like, for example, once we checked the primary or elementary school, it has from year 1 to year 5. So if we put here, as you can see, this is a year 7. So let's see what it will do if we upload this data. So if we click choose file and go to the file location and click upload, it will upload our file. We have one of two options. Either one, ignore existing users, like if the users do exist, or update existing users with the same information that we have, but with a slightly different iteration if we want. As we see here, we have two buttons. validate and import, and of course the back button gets us back to the home page. So what does the validate do? The validate goes through the Excel sheet, the list of users that we have, the template that we filled, and validates if the data matches the data on the system, which hence the reason why we mentioned that all of the data that we're going to be using in the Excel spreadsheet for the users import or the bulk import needs to be matching with the data that we actually do have in the system. If the data does not exist, this will happen, or there is any misvalidation, like for example, you're about to validate entries, we click OK. It says that an error in a row 7, year group 7, does not belong to the selected school section. So let's go back and have a look on the Excel sheet to see what does it mean. If we look in here, as we mentioned, it's elementary or primary school and it's year 7. So if we check on the school section structure, year 7 is in the middle or preparatory school. So in order to fix that, we can either change the section or we can choose the year group. As you can see, if we update the year group, like for example, let's take year 5 and save, and we start the upload process again. Click upload, and let's say validate. Are you sure you want to validate? Sure. Once we do, it will tell us that it's successful with the amount of records that we have. So this is the first step if we want to validate. The import does the same process, but if it's validated correctly, it will start the import immediately, which is best preferred to use the validate button first before you import, just to make sure that all of your records are set properly. Once you get the confirmation from the validation, you just can click the import and you click OK. As you can see, the validation is ongoing and all of the records has been updated. So the numbers of rows inserted are 0, numbers of rows updated are 9. Let's try, for example, adding an extra user just to see what it will do. Let's try here. Let's say test. And test admin. And let's say test 10 at csegen.com. Okay. And we try this. ESOL purchasing workflow. Let's say school administrator, or department, or sections, or groups, because it's an administrator role, and we choose school administrator. If we save that and close and start the upload process again by choosing the file and upload, and we say either ignore existing users because we're not going to be updating anything, we're just going to be adding a new one, and we click validate. First of all, if we want, it will validate the records and it will let us know that the validation is successful. Once it does, we can click on the import. The ignore will ignore the rest of the records and will just enter their only additional record. As you can see, number of rows updated is 0, the number of rows inserted is 1, which is the new record that we have. We're going to be saying update and click import. It will do the same, but will update with us the rest of the records that we have in the system. This is the process of how you normally bulk import the users into ESOL purchasing system. Once you have that, once you have done all the process and got all of your user details, for each school administration for their school, you can go to the user verification menu item, which will lead you, if we just expand this window here, you will see that it has the list of the usernames with their own username, password, email address, the roles, the menu items, the category, the sections, the year group, and what is the department if they have a department. This will allow you to have an overview on all of the users that you have within your own system, within your school, and this is dependent on each school with their own users. There's no conflict. You don't get any other users except for your school. Once you do that, you can download that list. Once you open it, you will see the list available with the name, username, password, email, the email and the role, the menu items, like for example, if the category of the menu item is school administrator or a regular school user, sections, depending on what is the role that you're going to choose, as we mentioned before, is the head of year, so you will need to choose a section and a year group. If it's the head of department, then doesn't regard the section, but we need the year group and the department. We don't need the year group, we just need the department. If it's a year group, then we need to set the year group. There is no need to set the department. In addition, you will know if the users are with you, like in use or not in use, or if their account has been locked or not locked. This will give you an overview of the user list that we have, and you will know at any point of time what are users' status on the system. This concludes our video for this next, and we will go discussing next the purchase order, the cycle of it, how we're gonna utilize it, and for each like the requester, how it will work, and the view for each user. Until the next video, be safe.